April 1st, 1999, the Northwest Territories celebrates. For the first time since 1949, the map of Canada is redrawn, creating Nunavut in the east and a new Northwest Territories in the west. History is made, the future is unfolding, and new official symbols are created to reflect new times. Located in the capital city of Yellowknife, the Legislative Assembly of the Northwest Territories has commissioned the creation of a new mace to represent the new territory. Used each day the Legislative Assembly is in session, the mace is a centuries-old tradition. It represents the authority of the Speaker of the House. This mace, created in 1956, has been retired. Its replacement is the design of 3 artists. Their creation reflects the people, land, and cultures of the North. It is a priceless work of art with features never before seen or heard in the history of mace making.
My name is Dolphus Kedu. I was born in Yellowknife. I'm a sculptor, painter. I've done like fiberglass sculptures. I've done steel, 2 actually monumental steel sculptures. I've done mosaics, like 40-foot mosaics. I've experimented in granite and marble sculptures, and recently completed a monumental marble sculpture with like 5 other people up in Inuvik. I had known of a mace, but I wasn't really that knowledgeable. I guess, like most people, you ask them what a mace is and they don't know, and I sort of did hear about maces, but I guess stems from the British Empire, and it has a long history which goes back into the mace was used for a weapon to protect the monarchy or the queen in the procession, and so it stems from there.
My name is Bill Nasagalawak. I'm originally from Tuktoyaktuk, and I'm a sculptor and a painter. On my carvings, I do evaluate traditional stuff, like there's animals, there's legends, mythology, shamans, I do sedna, I do old stories. Stories my dad used to pass on to me. The mace we're creating, it's a very traditional type of object, and we're trying to put some very artistic input into it, creativity, and that's the challenge. It's probably going to be one of the most important things I've ever done historically, artistically, and it's been a challenge, but I'm excited about the challenge of doing this thing.
My name is Allison Simi. I'm based in Ottawa. I'm a jeweler and more recently a sculptor. I have lived and worked in the North, and at present my work is based on the theme of the Arctic landscape. It's very, very important to all of us to get this right. Wherever possible, we turned it into something that seemed to make sense for the region, for the area, and for the people. We wanted it to be durable. We knew that was important. We knew that was an important consideration. That you could actually use the piece, and it wasn't just going to end up in a museum.
Well, the previous mace, the mace that was retired, it had we knew there was pieces that would not last. The ivory pieces, we chose not to go to wood, bone, or ivory, and we were trying to get away from products that would need high maintenance, or as soon as they're done, they would start deteriorating. We picked material that would last.
We're using a lot of different materials, and there's a couple of new elements that other maces really don't have, and I think people will be surprised by it. So.
The mace is 57.5 inches long. At the top end, there's a diamond that sits right in the middle of the crown, and the diamond is from the Yellowknife area. It's one of the first major pieces of diamond that has come out from the territories. The shaft is made out of bronze. It's stylized narwhal tusk. Although we don't have any narwhals in our area, the previous mace was made out of narwhal tusk, and it's our way of honoring the previous mace.
Yeah, we'll bring it to the silversmiths in Montreal, and then he'll bring it to the bronze factory. Then they'll pull a wax mold off of this. They'll cast it in bronze after that. So this pretty well has to be really refined and sanded down, because every imperfection will be seen, So the wax, it'll pick up everything. So.
We're based here just outside Ottawa. We're in Chelsea, where it's secluded, it's away from the public eye. And our place, where we work, we got one side of it is Dolphus and I are carving. We're doing the marble pieces where we're cutting. There's a lot of dust, there's a lot of outside physical work, so we're carving on one end of the building, and then it's covered in tarp for the rainy days and stuff. And then where's the other side is where Alison's doing the silver work, and Dolphus and I have worked there also, and we've set up a bench. We're using the torches. We're using cutting silver. We're sanding over there, and we will be doing the fine marble work in there too.
We chose to work in the south, like in Ottawa, because the north doesn't have a lot of the facilities that we need, such as the marble cutting facilities and the bronze casting facilities, and the large-scale silversmiths are down here. Like there's an orb, circular orb, I guess it is called, and that represents like the people and the world.
Well, the orb is made out of 2 sheets of gold. We've had to take a formula and come out with the exact size. Okay, that's what you came up with.
And what's the last one?
Okay, divide by 1,000. We cut out a circle in gold. We cut out a circle, and then we pound it into shape into 2 separate spheres. And then what we're going to do is we're going to solder it together.
What we have to do is take round circles of the gold and hammer them into these recesses, so you end up with 2 half spheres that come together, and then you solder them. It's starting, but it's got a long way to go.
I like the ulu and the teepee with the house design on it, because it's really unique, because we're taking strictly 2 forms, positive forms, and representing 3 things at once. With the teepee, we're representing the Dene, and with the ulu, the Inuit, and with the negative shape at the house, we're representing the non-Aboriginal people.
It'll be better.
Yeah.
Before the glue dries. There you go. Well, you want to cut that or you want Dolphus? Oh, should we get Dolphus?
I think Dolphus.
All right. Well, we should go get him.
We incorporated the snowflake design, the six-sided figure, and I think that's one of the unique things. It's getting away from, the crown, and we're doing a snowflake that represents a crown, or vice versa.
I was in a bookstore and I found a book of photographs of the snowflakes that had been done, I guess, over the last century by one individual. And just as a designer, I was astounded. The more I thought about it, the symbolism of a six-sided structure that is at its core the same, and the strength of that six-sided crystal is just incredible. I mean, that core is so strong, and I thought that was just wonderful symbolism for people. They're fundamentally the same, yet with the snowflakes, every little change in the atmosphere will change it. So it starts up there, and by the time it gets down here, every one is a different journey, and that's what we do. You know, whoever we are and whatever we are, we plot our own paths that way too. It took me about 8 models to work that out, to even just get to the rough idea of where I needed it to go.
It's got to be like slotted right in so that he feels it. When he puts it in there, it feels that it's okay.
Because he could
attached.
put the mace down here. From that stage, it went to, the refinements of the design. The 3 of us sat down and just countless varieties of shape and line and straight here and curved there, and it was really quite subtle. But that's what we were trying to do, is we were just trying to tweak it together. So we did that, again, in model form. And from there, that was when Lois got involved, and we had asked her if she would be willing to look at the design, make sure that it's feasible. Lois is a silversmith in Canada, very well respected in her field as an artist. I don't know if it was last year or the year before she was awarded the Order of Canada. We worked together, and there was decisions that we made, the 2 of us. How much is it going to angle out, and how much should it bend, and things like that.
Hope it fits. Oh, let's hope it fits. Otherwise, we'll go smaller.
At first, you're just drawing the lines, scoring out the lines. You have to take it real easy so that it goes nice and straight. But once you get started there, then it's just a matter of filing out the excess so that the metal knows exactly where to go. It'll fold on the weakest spot.
All right. You're going to straighten that out anyway, probably. With a hammer.
It hasn't even started over there yet.
That's
now
all right. You
it's
don't
there
care.
and there. Okay. We just tried to do the best between what the metal would do and what the design would do, and put the 2 together.
Well, that's good.
Okay. Well, let's see.
Yeah. That's good.
Lois will take over and do the sort of the very final refinements on the shape, because that's where all the years of experience come in, to get it exactly right.
I don't normally do it this way, but I think it's a good way.
How do you normally do it?
Just touch it when it's hot enough and
Oh, I
it goes.
see, yeah. From my jewelry making experience, a lot of very subtle design decisions are made as you go along, and the metal is different from the paper, so you have to react at every step. The skill that I am missing as a small-scale jeweler is the large hammering forming skills. That's why that was so much appreciated, because the work that she was helping there was to making sure that the forms were right, so it would fit together, so it would be that geometric. Oh, there we go, it's getting there. Holy smokes.
Oh, the languages then will be, it'll be a band that separates the head of the mace and Allison's snowflake design.
That's where all the official languages of the territories is written, and what's written on there is one land, many voices. Getting further down, we go into what we call the head of the piece, and that's where we have 6 separate marble carvings, and each segment represents different things. It's marble from the territories, marble from the Yellowknife, Precambrian Shield area. They have really unique coloration. You know, they have a pinkish purple type of color. It's glacier spun marble, and it's really a boulder that we've cut.
We're not sure about the clean edge that you're going to be able to get when you cut it.
You know how marble tends. It was sort of a challenge because we had weight limitations on it. So the biggest weight factor is in the marble pieces, and we had to make them as thin as we can, but still durable.
So basically, you just want us to cut the pie shape and put the angle on it?
The angle on it.
I think what we're trying to do is like the visual imagery, which you don't really find in a lot of the maces. I think that's another unique aspect of it. And what you'll see is like 6 panels representing the 3 or 4 different cultures. Like you have the Dene, Métis, Euro-Canadians, Inuit. Yeah, so all the cultures are represented. The land, the water, environments, and the animals are depicted in these 6 panels that we're replacing them. That was the funniest part of it. The whole project was Allison and I were like working on this, trying to figure out, okay, how far we can reduce the marble to get it to its lowest weight, and so we were working hand in hand together, and she would be holding it, and I'd be working with grinders and reducing it. And we finally got it to a point where it was like reduced enough, we figured, and then we both realized that we didn't have a scale to weigh it.
I said, I know, Dolphus, I'll take it to the butcher. They've got a scale in pounds and ounces. Because I started thinking, someone must weigh that and be really accurate.
So that's what she did. She jumped in her car and drove over to the local butcher shop and weighed it on one of the meat scales.
Weigh this for me.
Weigh it.
Yeah, it's a piece of marble for the mace.
All right.
Thank you.
Let's see what we can do.
Thank you. It's an old-fashioned butcher shop too, right? So it's kind of a trip back 3 times. So she's looking at the scale. She said, it's 3 pounds, 4 ounces. I said, oh my Lord, are you sure? Because that's like way too heavy, and we thought we had it. So then I brought the piece back out here, and Dolphus and I shaved it down even more, as much as we could. Below the head and above the foot, there's a 2-inch strip of bead work and also quill work. They're small areas, but I think they're really important because in their making. It's yet another totally different set of skills, history, tradition that would have gone into the making of those. I have a lot of respect for that.
Delta braid is usually made out of a cloth, but we were trying to incorporate beadwork, and we were trying to incorporate Delta braid, but we didn't have any other place where we could use the beadwork, so we've actually had beadwork in a Delta braid design. The foot was assembled and put together in Montreal by our silversmith, and the carving is actually being done right here with all three of us, myself, Alice, and Dolphus. This is the two icebergs. I'm going to put 3 layers of icebergs just to give it this section of the mace. We're representing the land of the Western Territory, and what we have is the mountain scene that goes into the foothills, that goes into Precambrian shield type of rock, and it slowly drifts into the delta and into the tundra. And then because it's in a circular design, it comes back again as a mountain scene again. On each side of the foot, we have bodies of water. One side of it is the Great Slave Lake, and the other side is Great Bear Lake. And below it is icebergs, which represent the Arctic Ocean, and then just below that, even below that, you have these 2 little tips of land masses, and one of them is Banks Island, the other is Victoria Island. If you look closely, just before the Mackenzie Delta, we have 2 little dots there, and that represents the Pingos of Tuktoyaktuk area, where I'm from. To me, the most unique part of the mace is what we can't see, is the pebbles that are within the mace. And what we've done is we've taken pebbles from each community, all 33 communities of the Western Territory, and we incorporate them into the mace, so the pebbles actually make noise. Hear that?
Yeah.
Wow.
It represents the voices of the people, and the whole idea behind it was like really inspiring, and so we just went with that idea, and I think for myself it's the most unique part of it.
I thought it'd be
It's connections to people that are the most important. The fact that you can hear these pebbles inside, when I think about that, my imagination just takes a leap. Someone has to lean over and pick that pebble up. And if you've ever been to the beach, you're just looking down and something is going to catch your eye, and that's the one you're going to lean over and pick up. Whoever it is who does that, what was it? It was shiny, it was a color, it was a size, it was, who knows?
I thought, we relate to Hockey Night in Canada. It's a theme song, Immediately we relate back to the hockey game, whereas with these pebbles, if they make a certain sound, we could relate this to that the Legislative Assembly is in session. Now, that's what we're hoping, that this sound will always be able to tie people to that the Leg is in session. Wow.
It's a white marble with the Mackenzie River as a design, so it curves as it goes and spreads up into the delta and links all of the communities.
And we've chosen white simply because we want to represent the ice of the north, the icebergs, the snow, and our major landmark in the Western Territory is the Mackenzie River. It starts off as the delta. It's carved in, and as you go down the Mackenzie River, you will see the Great Bear Lake on one side, and you travel down, you see a Great Slave Lake, and then below the Great Slave Lake is the Hay River, and down to Fort Smith.
And then the last part of the project is going over to Montreal and putting all the components together. There's a major foundry there that's well established, and everything will be gelled there and fitted and polished.
The company we're using in Montreal is Desmarais and Robitaille. It's being assembled there because they've been around a long, long time. We're relying on their expertise.
Instead of having this and this piece, this would be replacing
The whole thing,
yes. And these will fit there.
At the beginning of the project, I never really realized the importance of it. I never thought about it. And then as the project started progressing, it was like, I just feel like it's like a historic situation, and I feel honored that, you know, like we're accepted to create it, and I think everybody else in the group is sort of on similar grounds like that, and it sort of crept into their psyche almost, and it's an honor to do it. It's a legacy, I guess, that, you know, when I die, it'll live on.
I guess I sort of feel like I'm, it's an opportunity to just, well, to contribute something, which is, again, a very great honor. And so mostly I just feel like, whoa, boy, I gotta just give this my best, because it's, I certainly have learned an awful lot from the North, from the people, and just the land, and things are done differently. And I am personally very, very, the risk of sounding corny, but grateful that I learned the lessons that I learned early enough in my life that I'll be able to use them for years to come. I mean, my life will always be better.
And I think we've pushed the limits of mace making, you know, so to speak, you know, where we've managed to be able to represent every community in the territories, not only physically, but audio-wise, you know, and it's something that's, you know, within the context of within the limitations of a mace, we've gone beyond just simple representation of a government. What we've done is I think we've produced something that's artistic